Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cult of Cantona. It's PBL here. Quite a bit to talk about, so let's get into it. Hey everyone, thanks so much for subscribing, getting involved in the show, whether it be on social media or buying us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com/cult of Cantona. Again, massive welcome to James Healy-Meany joining the show along with the rest of the lads for doing stellar work, including Jamie, who does Trojan work behind the scenes doing our media. Editing and bits and pieces and stuff as well. And also massive thanks to Ray Mongi for helping out, a producer of our show as well. So let's get into the giant elephant which is consistently in the room and talk about some transfers. There's a lot going on, but more importantly, there's not a lot going on. I'm not a huge fan of this bomb squad idea, this kind of yellow pack tag that they're putting, or the media or the press or United or whoever instigated it, probably Ruben Amorim, let's be really honest, devaluing potential talented players that are going to be out the gap in the next couple of days. So let's talk about them. The more surprising of all of them, based on the 1-1 draw, which we'll touch on a little bit later, is the notion that Kobbie Mainoo, a player who, lest we forget, was, starting in a European Championship final for England, who certainly was looking like he was going to boss the midfield at United for a long time. So what is going on there? It seems clear to me that he can fit into the system, and he is the energy and the legs in the middle of the park that we're lacking. It's not quite crisis stations yet, but you would have to say that when you're looking at Casemiro starting over Kobbie Mainoo, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't seem a good fit for the future. I think maybe we were a little bit unkind calling Casemiro cement legs in the past, and his physical fitness has improved and he clearly wants to play for the club, etc. But United need to be future focused, so I think a little bit of clarity in and around Kobbie Mainoo and where he's going to fit into the equation if he stays needs to happen. Andy Goldstein at TalkSport really laid into Amorim and the current state of affairs over the last couple of days, that the system doesn't work. One thing that I can't understand in general terms is, why would you buy a racehorse and leave it at the stables? Not immediately starting Sesko, to me, tells me that he wasn't first choice. Let's be completely honest about this. I mean, you look at someone like Benjamin Sesko, who is a specimen. He's a big guy. And this idea and this notion of mentioning things like he needs to buy a house and he needs to settle in and blah, blah, blah is rubbish. He is a top striker. He's 23. His match fitness is there. I think it's boulder dash nonsense, bollocks, that he's mentioning anything else apart from why there has to be another reason. Why isn't he starting him? Why would you not start a striker an out and out striker that you bought for playing up front to score goals. The missing link that we've all been talking about. Meanwhile, Harry Kane scores a hat-trick in the Bundesliga yet again at the weekend. And as the years go by, Harry Kane doesn't seem to be slowing down. So had we have bought Harry Kane 3 or 4 years ago, look where those goals would have got us. Just a thought. You have to feel for Rasmus Højlund and all of this. He's a great kid. We said numerous times on the show about how he is everybody's favourite nephew. But the reality is he's not doing the job. So personally, I'd like to see him go off on loan, do really well, go to Milan, have a great season, come back, make a case for being in the starting 11. More so, I think he should go out on loan, because if things don't work out with Amorim for whatever reason, I think the next potential manager, if it was to happen, and in no way am I calling for Amorim's job, I think that we would need that option going forward. Kobbie Mainoo needs to stay. I think United need to be very careful. They're killing his confidence. It's a confidence game. Why would you let him go anyway? And if he does go, he should only go for like 100 million, because he is 100 million euro, pounds, whatever, striker, midfielder. We need to get ROI for that, so that we don't regret it if he goes for like 30 or 40 million to Espanyol or fucking Real Sociedad, or who knows where he would go. Off to Italy, maybe, who knows. So the bomb squad. Malacia, it's clear that he's injury prone, so he will probably move on, and that's fair. The Garnacho saga is, I think everybody's already moved on. It's very sad. It's like a breakup with somebody that you really, really liked. But ultimately, it's like, I suppose, like a grieving process for the potential of what he could be. I don't think that he will walk into the Chelsea side. They have lots of options, so I think he's going to experience a lot of the same. I think the only way he starts week in, week out is if he goes to Napoli. And I think he's a lot of work to do. And I think he would do well to listen to people who are much more experienced, who are much more interested in his well-being as a human being, the psychological aspects of a long-term career. But I think had the Ronaldo scenario ended a bit better, I think Ronaldo would be a bit more positive and advising him to stay on and make his mark. But the reality is that Garnacho wasn't doing it. Towards the end of last season, he had a couple of good games in the run in where he picked up a bit to try and get, who knows, to try and maybe drive a move away or whatever else. And he may feel slighted that he was dropped for the final. But the reality is, be so good that they can't ignore you. And that's what I, would say to any player that's playing for Man United. If you want to start, you have to be so good that you can't be ignored. There are some rays of sunshine. Potential transfers coming in the other way. We need that goalkeeper, man. We need that fucking goalkeeper. Especially with Onana going away potentially to the African Cup of Nations in the new year. Ballon d'Or is a good shot stopper. He's not a bad keeper. He's not Man United level. He's not top class. He's a good goalkeeper. He's a good backup. He's solid. He's nowhere near as good as Sergio Romero a couple of years ago. It begs the Lemons potential transfer being mooted. I'm a little bit concerned about that. He's a young lad as well. If we bring in a keeper like that and throw him in the deep end at 22, 23, whatever, he looks a player. He looks like a player that could play for Man United. However, cast your mind back to when David De Gea signed for Man United. He had a couple of wobbly games, 3 or 4 wobbly games in between the sticks way back when in 2011, I think it was. And I remember at the time being very very, very cautious about him. And I don't think Amorim can afford to have 4 bad games where Lemons drops a couple of clangers and United are in a very bad position. Let's see. Be great to have him in. I think the Emi Martinez loan deal would have made more sense, particularly for the year. So, I don't know. There are lots of positives. Just looking back at the game over the weekend, I thought in the first 15 minutes, Man United looked like they were playing FIFA 98, on the PlayStation. Lots of lovely link up play. Cunha looks Cunha, 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 Mbomo, Mbuemo, Mbogo. Anyway, forgive me. Yeah, Mateus Cunha seems to look like a world class player that will thread the eye of the needle for Man United this season. I think that, and I'm going to put my neck on the line and say that he will be the player of the season this year. He's too good to not play well the majority of the games. We just need him scoring. Like, hit the back of the onion sack. He was playing very well, particularly the first half against Fulham. It's a bit concerning because Fulham are obviously a team that we do well against, particularly at Craven Cottage over the years. We usually pick up points, so that's a little bit of a concern. But I'm happy to lose that record if we build consistency going forward and we get good results against teams that we were dropping points against last season. Look, everybody just needs to relax, like chill the fuck out. We're 2 games into the season. Leagues are not won. Champions League places are not earned in the first 2 games. And from what we've seen of the likes of Liverpool and Man City over the last couple of games, Liverpool dragged it back, but people can score against them. So I'm not majorly concerned. Arsenal didn't look great against us, but then they turned it on then against Leeds. So let's see what happens. I think that the topsy-turvy nature of the Premier League, by virtue of its quality, will be everyone's worst enemy this year. And I think that's becoming more and more significant as the time goes by. So you'd have to say that it's kind of anybody's Premiership in the top 4 or 5, which I don't think United will be in. I'd be happy if we win a cup and get back into Europe in the back door. Into next season, we need to earn our place at the top table again, unfortunately. But again, lots of positives. Lenny Euro looks like the centre back that we hoped he would be. Huge potential. He is a touch of class. He can also get forward and score. He can put himself about in the box. Harry Maguire coming off the bench again, regardless of what he's asked to do, comes on, does a job, defies logic, defies physics, defies common sense a lot of the time. But you have to give credit where credit's due, and that's total professionalism from someone who we had dead and buried and in a coffin and sailing down the Valhalla River to be burned not too long ago. So well done, Harry. Fantastic the way you've turned it around. So looking at Bruno Fernandes, let's talk about the game itself, and his penalty miss and his general play and his attitude and his vibe. Yeah, there's rumours circulating about potentially him being tapped up yet again by Saudi Arabia, and their lovely, transparent, fair and in no way questionable transfer system. Um, Look, it's generational wealth. His family and his family's family won't have to worry about money. Was his head turned a little bit at the weekend? Was he distracted? I would say maybe. If they keep coming, and I think that in the way that they're playing Bruno now, like United have signed two number 10s in Brian Mbuemo and Mateus Cunha. So I think Bruno is a little lost at sea at the moment. He hasn't really found his groove or what he's supposed to do, because he was doing everything for us towards the end of last season. I don't think his legs are gone, which was being mooted over the last couple of days. That's bollocksology. Bruno Fernandes will play until he's 40. His game is not based on pace. His game is based on really accuracy, pass accuracy, shot accuracy. However, clearly his shot accuracy was way off. Let's talk about the penalty. He hasn't missed a penalty in a long time. Let's cut him a bit of slack. However, wasn't a huge fan of him blaming the referee. People bump into each other. In fact, obviously Bruno was stepping back and backed into the referee. The referee put his hand on him, and that's the apology that Bruno was complaining about. Bruno usually look. People are superstitious. He takes penalties a certain way. That's understood, understandable, fair play to him. But having said that, you'd really have to say, Bruno should not be distracted by somebody bumping into him momentarily. He had another 5-10 seconds to take the penalty after that. And then going on the record and saying that the referee didn't apologise is just not befitting of a Manchester United captain, is it? So, yeah, Bruno had a bad game. Get over it. It's fine. He's also the type that when he does have a bad game, he bounces back really quickly. And I wouldn't be surprised against Grimsby tomorrow evening that he'll do a real job on them if he starts. To shut up the critics, because that's how he operates. I don't blame him for being a bit petulant sometimes. I mean, he's from the Ronaldo school of motoring, lest we ever forget. But look, you can't be blaming the referee for ballooning it over the bar. Sorry, Bruno. We love you to bits, but that's no excuse. There are large parts in the first game against Arsenal, and 15-20 minutes in the second game against Fulham away, where Man United looked like they were a football team, emphasis on the word team again. We just need to put the ball in the back of the net. I think Mbeumo will do that. I think it's kind of pointless having him taking corners, so I think we need to rectify that based on what I've seen. I know he did take the corner, to which the OG Lenny Euros header, which was an OG, but he can head the ball. So what's he doing taking corners? I mean, you need to have Ahmad, or you need to have Dello, or you need to have Dorgu taking the corners. Let's be honest. Would I take Penos away from Bruno? Absolutely not. He's a marksman. He's ice cold. He's proved it time and time again for Man United. So, let's cut Bruno a break. But most importantly, just on Bruno Fernandes lastly, the insults he had to withstand at Craven Cottage was, absolutely appalling. They were singing "You look like a rat, you look like a rat," or whatever it was, for large periods of the game, trying to antagonise Bruno. He's only human. It's disgusting that would be allowed. Obviously, there's no way to control it, but you're looking at something like that and you're like, there's really no place for it in the modern game. He's a world-class footballer. I will say one thing, not to say that Man United fans, well, I will say Man United fans are a lot classier. There's been times I've gone to matches and at Old Trafford and away, and you can see players on opposing teams playing fantastically. Man United are a club that, you know, are very respectful 9 times out of 10, and should, and nearly always do, show respect. And like, there's times when, like, great example and point is when Ronaldo came to Old Trafford and the fans were clapping him. Fulham just, you know, just shows how typical kind of Cockney fans, you know, fair weather fans coming in for 2 games, spending huge amounts of money, and then just, you know, having a large one, having a laugh, and making repugnant commentary about a player that's world class. It's not called for, and it looks like you won. It worked. So shame on you for doing that. It's no different from racist chanting. It's no different from bullying, harassment. We don't need it in the game. By all means, cheer your own players on. You can have your own funny chants for your players who are doing well themselves. But, you know, there's no real place for it in the modern game, especially with kids there as well. It's appalling. Ruben Amorim, I'm not going to pour petrol on any sort of idea or hate campaign to try and get him out. I think he's still trying to tinker with his system to see who works best in that system. So, but there is no doubt in it. The pressure is on. Wayne Rooney said it the other day. He has to win games, and that's it. I think if he doesn't get his act together, and if he doesn't get his striker on scoring goals, and if he doesn't work with his front 3 or 4 and get the ball in the back of the net, Grimsby Town away in the cup couldn't have come at a better time, and I hope that we score 5 or 6 to get the engine nice and warmed up for the match at the weekend. There are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Leave some thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the Garnacho situation? What about Bruno at the weekend? Did he overdo it? Is Amorim making the right tactical decisions and substitutions? Is he just trying to find out who his generals are? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe to this video. Share it if you can. We'll be back for another episode in the next few days. Just wanted to jump on and discuss some migraine-esque headaches that we've been having over the last week. Subscribe on YouTube. We have a Facebook group for Man United fans called the Cult of Cantona. Check it out, just search for it in groups. We're also on TikTok, where we do our match predictions and share little bits and pieces. And obviously Instagram and Facebook, we have a public page as well. But for now, thanks so much for watching. And if you want to support the work that we do in order to keep this content flowing, be a real Stratford ender and visit buymeacoffee.com/Cult of Cantona. Have a great week.